Peter Burns, ESPN college football host, SEC Network, joins us here on Big Board Sports as we roll along with this college football season, and it's all going to count in those final standings on December 3rd when they come out. Then we'll know exactly which teams are going to be in the Final Four. But right now it's Alabama, Clemson, Miami, and Oklahoma when the latest poll was released on Tuesday. Peter Burns, Roger Weiland, Chris Honorado in Albany on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. Good morning.
It's sad that it's almost the end of the college football season, guys. I mean, I know y'all get into it a little bit, but down here, especially in the SEC and just down south, I mean, you know, we start looking at it when basketball season gets here and the leaves start changing. We start getting really sad because our Saturday is going to look a whole hell of a lot different in a couple of weeks.
Peter, I changed spots with you immediately. I'm a Pennsylvania guy. Went to school at Penn State and love college football. And believe me, we try to make it as big as we possibly can here in the Capital Region. But it's certainly nowhere near where you're at. So, what do you make of these rankings right now? Alabama, Clemson, Miami, Oklahoma. Are you good with those four? And certainly we know everyone's good with Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I think those four teams are the best four teams in the country right now outside of Auburn. But then again, Auburn has two losses, and I'll get to them in just a moment. But, you know, for Alabama, obviously, with the linebacking issues that they have, I think they've lost four guys right now, and they're lost them for the year. So it's not like they're going to get healthier. But they survived the scare, so that's been solid. If you look at Clemson, they've beaten 7 teams in the top, in our Football Power Index top 40. So, I mean, that's the reason why their schedule, quote unquote, looked better, and they've got that good win against Auburn earlier in the year. Oklahoma should have been maybe number 2, in my opinion, but at least they're in the top 4 with Baker Mayfield. And with Miami, they finally, you know, found a good opponent to play with, and they dismantled Notre Dame. So, I'm good with all those four guys, but there's still going to be, I think, a decent amount of movement here in these next couple of, 3 weeks.
Peter, I said to Roger a couple of days ago anyway, coming off what felt like a monster weekend. I know we didn't get the competitive games we were all hoping for, but I have early been on like, hey, we need an 8-team playoff. 4 is too few. I'd love to get 8 in because it just, like you said, it extends the season in a lot of ways. And then as I'm watching the games, or I'm getting ramped up for last weekend, I thought, if we went to 8, we wouldn't be as excited for the games this weekend because Notre Dame would be in. You'd know Georgia's in. You know Bama's in. So where are you on that?
You were exactly every conversation I've ever wanted to have about the college football playoff being at 4. I've talked to Bill Hancock, the head of the college football playoff. We talked about this when I did the committee a couple of months ago, and we both agree that there's this. What makes college football different than the NFL is that it's for excellence and that every single game is basically a playoff game. And when you get it into 8 teams, all of a sudden we'd be talking about a possible 3-loss team being associated with the college football playoff. That's not the case. I mean, last week we had 4 top 10 teams lose, and basically those were their playoff games, right?
Right.
You know, for Notre Dame, they're not getting in now with 2 losses. That Notre Dame-Miami game was a playoff, and we didn't have to wait 3 weeks or 4 weeks after the regular season to have these guys play off. They played in the middle of the season. So I think for college football, less is more. I think 4 is a great number, and that's truly why every game matters right now. If you go ahead and move it to 8, you can give a couple of free losses to teams, and I don't like free losses in college football.
All right, but how about this, Peter? Wisconsin runs the table. They're going to be undefeated. The Big Ten are not going to get in.
No. You see, I think that was going to be the case had there not been so much chaos last weekend. I think there was a potential. Had Georgia continued to win and Auburn not won that game. Just a couple of just different weird games from last week. But listen, with Wisconsin being a Power 5 school, if they go ahead and beat Michigan, who's ranked this week, then they go ahead and beat Ohio State, which is getting a lot of love from the committee right now. They're going to be in. And there's no way that Barry Alvarez, the athletic director, who used to be on the college football playoff committee, mind you, and is loved on that committee, there's no way that they leave an undefeated Wisconsin out. I think 2 weeks ago we could have thought that, but now with everything breaking, Wisconsin controls their own fate with getting in.
All right, how about two-loss Auburn here? They look awfully good. I mean, they really played well in beating Georgia, just absolutely spanked them. Now, I mean, can they beat Alabama, and then can they turn around and beat Georgia again in the SEC title game and get into that top four? What about your take on the Auburn Tigers right now?
I'm going to have to leave the room when I tell you this because my wife is a diehard Alabama Crimson Tide fan, so I just need to make sure I'm not in arm's length when I say this. I mean, right now I take Auburn over Alabama, and Auburn's win over Georgia was the most dominant win of all of college football I had seen. They were able to run the ball really well with Kerryon Johnson. They were able to stop the run of Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, which is not an easy thing, and that defense was nothing short of incredible. Auburn gets Alabama in the Iron Bowl down in Jordan-Hare, so they'll be playing that game at home. And then I think they win that game. And if they win that game, that means that they will have beaten the number one ranked Georgia at the time, a number one ranked Alabama at the time, and then probably a top five ranked Georgia again in the SEC championship. So for the SEC, it's actually really simple. Whoever wins out is in. If Alabama wins out, they're in. If Auburn wins out, they're in. If Georgia, even at 7, wins out, that they're in the college football playoff. So that's how the SEC right now is playing.
Have you ever? How many Nick Saban press conferences have you attended, and what is that like?
Well, it's funny because I'm lucky that I don't have to attend them because I'm back here at the studios, the SEC Network. But it's always we warm up the popcorn for whenever he goes because we get to get the raw feed of it, and he's just Saban's a living legend. I mean, I think he'll go down as the greatest college football coach of all time, having won a championship at LSU and the dynasty that he's built at Alabama. But Saban is fair with the media. It's like Greg Popovich and Belichick. You just don't ask him dumb questions. If you ask him a dumb question, he's not going to suffer a fool. So I did like yesterday. He went on this. It's weird to see him on a tangent where he went on ripped old blue jeans to start his press conference yesterday. He normally doesn't do that before the Mercer week.
Yeah, and the whole rat poison thing it really got a lot of play too. But he probably should be careful with that one.
Well, here's the deal. You always know the code word for Nick Saban to find out if he's really fired up is the word "aight." Okay, so if he ever goes, you guys in the media, you're talking about this, or he goes, right now Auburn, aight, they're a good football team. If he says the word "aight," that's when you know something, World War III is about to break out in their press conference.
Peter Burns with us, ESPN college football host, SEC Network. Check him out on Twitter at Peter Burns ESPN. And Peter, I know you pinned the tweet, but I'm going to direct everybody's attention to it. At the top of Peter's Twitter page, my goodness, read the Facebook post he put up there. More than a year ago now. A lot of guys in the media people don't root for. You are certainly one that we root for. Your candor and openness with that post was terrific, and I'll leave it at that. I want people to go read that at Peter Burns ESPN. All right, let's get rid of the East Coast bias here. I know people are saying we've got Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold Saturday night. I know the game doesn't mean I know the game doesn't mean a ton when it comes to the playoffs, but I'm guessing people around the country will be tuned in just to see who wins that quarterback battle. Yeah,
I think there'll probably be more scouts that are involved in that one than a lot of casual football fans, just because UCLA struggling this year. And really, Sam Darnold, everyone talked about him going into this year as the Heisman favorite, but 11 interceptions. He's lost 10 fumbles. Rosen hasn't been much better. He's got 15 turnovers as well. So, I think both of these guys are kind of interesting when you look at it, that the Mel Kiper Juniors of the world are going to be, hairspraying their hair up and getting ready and dustied up for that one, but not necessarily college football fans. USC is, they needed UCLA to be good in this because USC is not completely out of the realm of possibility for the college football playoff. It's very unlikely with how low they are right now, but they need a UCLA to be good. And frankly, Jim Moore's squad is not that right now. So I will tell you this: Greg McElroy and I were talking a couple of days ago at dinner. The thing that we need to look at is everyone gives Baker Mayfield, oh my goodness, he's so fun, he's exciting, he'll probably win the Heisman, and they don't mind his attitude, but yet they always rip Josh Rosen. And Rosen is kind of like, look at this little UCLA punk. They're basically the same exact guy. It's just Baker has a little bit more success on the field. I'm kind of curious on why people hate Rosen but love Baker Mayfield.
Well, I know one thing. Donald's, with all the stats you just threw out there, Darnold's stock has gone down. Is there a chance he comes back to USC again next year?
Nah. He's listed enough, kind of like Josh Allen, Wyoming. He's listed enough to where you're going to be probably one of the top 2 quarterbacks picked, if not the number 1. So, I mean, when you're dealing with that type of money and how atrocious the NFL is at quarterback play right now, you're going to get paid. And so for Rosen, it's not a Matt Leinart issue. Leinart came back because he had a shoulder issue that NFL teams are going to know about. Plus, Matt Leinart really enjoyed being the quarterback at USC for a million different reasons. I think Darnold will enjoy the bank account that the NFL draft will give him next year.
Hey, predictions. You have USC winning this game?
I got USC winning this game. Yeah, I think Darnold's just too big, and they've got too much athletes on that side of the ball that UCLA is just struggling to keep it together with Mora. And
do you have Wisconsin knocking out Michigan?
I actually have Michigan winning that game.
Whoa,
so
okay.
I think Michigan plays a good enough defense. So, listen, I think Michigan wins that game. If they don't, I definitely think Ohio State wins against Wisconsin. So, knowing my track record in betting and whatnot, Wisconsin is a lock for the college football playoff.
Peter, I've got a cousin in Tennessee who lost $20 in a bet that Tennessee, and now how the heck am I blanking on his name, but that Tennessee's coaching opening, help me out, wouldn't be there before the end of the season, that they wouldn't fire Butch Jones, that they wouldn't fire Butch Jones before the end of the season. What's the better job, Florida or Tennessee?
I actually think it's Tennessee. I mean, I think with Florida, Tennessee at least has better facilities. And down at Florida, you got to compete against Florida State recruiting, Miami recruiting now with Mark Richt and those guys being so good. Florida Atlantic with Lane Kiffin getting a couple of those guys. South Florida with Charlie Strong. Tennessee has a lot of talent in that area, and they don't have a lot of talent around as far as college football teams to go on. And I got to be honest with you, Florida fans are spoiled. I love Florida, and it's one of the best universities out there, especially athletically, but they have a spoiled fan base. Tennessee's spoiled, but not nearly as bad. So I think Tennessee is actually a little bit better of a job than Florida, guys.
Peter Burns, do a great job, ESPN college football host, SEC Network. Thanks for a few minutes on Big Board Sports here in Albany, where we are trying to upgrade in every way our college football coverage.
Hey, well, then you got to find somebody better than me to talk about it. So hopefully, good luck to you guys the rest of the year then.
That's all good, man. We'll get back in touch. Peter, thanks so much.
Peter.
Appreciate it.
Later, boys.